Hey class. Today I'm presenting religiously or spiritually encapsulated counselors. So there's some potential harm that goes along with that, being a spiritually and religiously encapsulated counselor. Religious or spiritually encapsulated counselors really have difficulty seeing beyond their own belief systems. Instead of exploring what religion or spirituality means, the counselor just assumes their own worldview is normal instead of getting to understand what the client's worldview is. So this is very concerning because religion and spirituality are parts of culture, and even people from the same faith tradition can hold very different beliefs, practices, and values. Hazen Erford, 2022. So a counselor can harm a client by pushing their own beliefs onto them, by suggesting prayer without checking if that fits the client, and by assuming that being religious is always helpful. When in reality, religion and spirituality can support mental health, but it depends on each person's experience. Hazen Erford, 2022. There's a couple other harms also associated with this. So a second harm is rejecting the client's worldview completely. A counselor who is uncomfortable with religion and dismisses spiritual experiences as irrationality, or a highly religious counselor who judges a client who is an atheist. So this rejectionist approach causes clients to feel misunderstood when discussing an important part of their identity. Hazen Erford, 2022. So the final harm is when counseling gets mixed up with spiritual direction, like when a counselor starts interpreting scripture like a religious leader, even though they are not trained for that role. This takes the focus away from the client's goals, and it really creates an unhealthy power imbalance. Counselors work within their area of expertise and work with a qualified religious leader when needed and with the client's consent. Hazen Erford, 2022. So basically how spiritual bypass may present in counseling is when someone tries to heal psychological wounds only through spiritual beliefs while avoiding emotion-based work. Wellwood, 2000. Spirituality itself is not the problem, though. The more pressing concern is that it becomes a way to avoid uncomfortable realities. So a client who's being spiritual bypass acts positively and says that feeling angry means their faith is weak. But for example, they have forgiven someone but still seem upset when talking about it. They may also keep saying they are giving it to God instead of setting boundaries or having tough conversations about their choices. So other possible signs include compulsive goodness, emotional repression,